8 years ago, I found a meaning of the word art by looking it up in the dictionary. Basically, the word art comes from the root Latin meaning of ars artis, which relates to our joints as well, and also a meaning to join together. And after I began this project, I rediscovered this meaning and realized that for myself personally, art is about joining together, bringing together. And in this case, it's a bringing of women, like I mentioned, out of isolation into relation around the world, women artists who are working throughout the world and beginning to have opportunities now to support one another. We all sense that there's something more to this exhibition, something more than a little box that's been transformed by artists around the world. It becomes very symbolic of all women and their quest for freedom, for liberation, for respect and dignity, and the opportunity to have their voices be heard.
Women Beyond Borders brings together women's visions at the end of a century marked by women's struggles to find their place and their voices. It cuts across all borders, physical, political, religious, and racial. The legend of Pandora's box is brought to life by interpreting artistically and emotionally what is released when the box is opened.
We all were trying to come up with a theme or an idea or a focus for the project, Women Beyond Borders. And at one point we looked and we saw the box and we all pretty much unanimously said, that's it, it's the box. It was an immediate knowing. And each of us knew someone somewhere. So for instance, Elena Sif's daughter was going to study at the Hebrew University, and she brought the idea to her art professor at the university there in Jerusalem, and in turn that person found Daphne Noor, who became the curator of the women in Israel. And interestingly enough, this box, when I held it up at a panel about a year and a half ago at the Arm & Hammer Museum, I held this up and one woman stood up and said, I know what that is, I know what that is. That was the symbol of the Hope Chest that we received in the 50s. I lived in Pennsylvania and all the young women in Pennsylvania received this box. That became for us a resounding symbol of woman herself. And in the process of this project the last 5 years, we've been involved with an exhibition in Basel, Switzerland that was called Pandora, and it was about women from ancient Greece and organized by Dr. Ellen Reeder from Baltimore. And in her wonderful catalog, Pandora, she wrote an essay entitled Woman as Container. So it's not just for us any longer a little incidental box. It becomes a very powerful symbol, a resonating symbol of woman herself. Artists were not given any instruction pretty much. They were just given the box and they decided what to do with them. You'll see that some of them have been shaved into sawdust. Some of them have been cut apart and put back together again. Some have been burnt and we have the ashes. Others have embellished the boxes with jewels, some have painted them, some have turned them into sculptural forms. The only limitation was that we asked them to keep the box within 12 inches and under 4 pounds. And we received all the boxes back in Santa Barbara in 1995. They were exhibited at the Contemporary Arts Forum, and then they began their world tour. They are the voices of women around the world, striving to express themselves and also representing the thousands of women in the world who don't have their voices. As Adrienne Rich, the poet, says, until a strong line of love, confirmation, and example extend from mother to daughter, from woman to woman, across the generations, women will still be wandering in the wilderness.
Which is interestingly an American term.
On behalf of the Contemporary Arts Forum, I just want to say that we're delighted to have this exhibition here. It's been a pleasure to play the first host, to serve as the first venue for the exhibition, which I think is a very important and unique project that will gain goodwill around the world, will really reinforce to people the incredible range of women's artistic creativity. Any medium, any stylistic approach you could imagine is represented here.
Hello. This is a wonderful exhibit. Each one is a treasure.
seems to me is already having its own energy. Now you have a situation where many countries want to join in, and it has its own inertia. It's running.
Women are working everywhere. That we're becoming like very compact groups that want to have more contact with the world in general.
It has no borders, and it's proving that the human race is evolving, and we are progressing, and we are reaching out to one another.
Sie müssen also damit rechnen, dass Sie ungefähr erst um 19:45 Uhr diesen Bahnhof verlassen.
Bravo!
Kein Problem.
I feel really very happy for this trip of memory that combine all the memories of the women. It's a transcultural trip to be inspired and to be very strong all together to continue our trip.
So we're really breaking down borders with this.
That was one wonderful thing that happened. There are many things that happen. There are many workshops for children that occur. There are cross-cultural collaborations, women creating new exhibitions from the women we have in the exhibition itself, and exchanges, people visiting.
I never imagined that that little box that I did about 4 years ago would travel so many places, be accompanied by so many women from all over the world. It's really become quite an exciting exhibition.
I think projects like that are very, very important to give us as women a place, a more important place in the art world.
It's just been a fascinating thing for me. I actually did read something long ago in some magazine about it, and I said, why don't we have that in Canada? And it's now finally here after 14 countries in Canada.
The educational component is also very much a part of our mandate, so that's exciting for us to be able to engage in some educational activities that represent the worldview of people able to create community together.
The title of my box is called Involuntary. It has to relate to experiences I've had being in hospital and not being able to go out. And the show is terrific. And also here at the mall where they're continuing the project with children is really amazing. I think it's going to be really good. It's an immediate connection as opposed to just writing or going somewhere, and that's one of the things that I really find valuable in the show.
I thought it was a good idea to be able to reach out and collaborate with women from various different cultures and countries, using the same material, breaking it out, adding to it to make it larger. I try to focus on the box itself.
It's about a boy or a man who is at the bottom level. He's in darkness, and he's trying to make himself climb up to the better level where he's happier and where he wants to be.
It's a similar box of many countries, and you create your personal box, in this case a Cuban box, and try to talking about different realities about the same pattern.
These women are so desperate to get something expressed because they've lived in a much more oppressive culture, and it really shows in their boxes. And again, with the Cuban women, if you explore their stories too, they are very eager to reach out beyond the barriers that have been created around that country.
No estés triste que la vida a veces se cobra así. Ni últimos ni primeros.
Make other people think about and say, well, we are not isolated. I cannot carry the world, all the world on top of my shoulders.
This exhibition, and I was very honored because these kind of exhibitions give a complete, very cool idea of the different concepts of art in different places.
And now there's the four, which we have joined now. We have now 4 boxes from Nepal, which will be added to this collection.
The pride of a woman which has a womb, and the pride of a woman is to give birth, which nobody else can take away from her.
You know, this is the creativity, the artist, the sensitivity, the intelligence of women.
I really like to be the pioneer to involve promoting a new type of art, Vietnamese art. The first time I opened the box together with you today, and it's unbelievable. It shocked me. It's shocking.
The weasel has a special place in the history of Bosnia. It represents the protector of the Bosnian rulers. The weasel, which is a very bloodthirsty animal, amazes us because of the gentleness of the mother.
Like a gift, little piece of my land, it's Bosnian stone.
Now I have a lot of friends all over the world, I think.
In the confine or constraint of that little box, look what women can do. Can you imagine if we had the world? would we then use our creativity, or would we then become like men, you know, into power and control?
I would hope that more and more women and men would have an opportunity to see the boxes and see the variety of creative expression, and to also feel within themselves that they have that ability. And I do think that the artist is not a special kind of person, but every person is a special kind of artist. And I really feel that if they can get out to more people and they can understand that, and they can express their creative expression through whatever they're doing in life, that would be the greatest thing that I would see would happen.